You mentioned them in your headlines. They got a huge win over the Saints in this round's action. To kick us off for round 18, the doggies are the most likely team to land that 8th spot, because I think you and I are in pretty much agreement. I would say 90% the top 7 spots are locked, and it's really just the 8 that's up for grabs, not including seeding and actual positions. Are we kind of like 90% there?
Well, if it's hard to argue that you aren't, because just looking at the ladder, really at 7th spot, if I believe correctly, that is either Carlton or Collingwood. It's one of those two.
You got Carlton, and they are 2 games ahead of Richmond, who is currently.
So
8th.
I think honestly, looking at it, the top 7 is set. I think 7 of your 8 teams in the finals are set. Now, when it comes to the doggies being the most likely, I'm gonna say this is an overreaction, because unfortunately these guys go through a gauntlet over the next 3 rounds. They play number 2 Melbourne, number 1 Geelong, and number 4 Fremantle in the next 3 weeks.
Oh, that's not great.
That is a dangerous situation there, because they could be 0-3 over these next 3 rounds with only 2 games left, and they're still almost 2 games out of the finals currently. So unless they can steal one against one of those 3 teams, which, looking at it, you got a chance this week at Marvel. The doggies play well at Marvel, so you're going to give them a little bit of a sniff. Plus, the D's were less than impressive against Port Adelaide, so you would somewhat give them a tick. Cats right now, legitimately best team in the league. There is no argument right now. I just don't see the doggies going down to GMHBA and winning that one. Fremantle at home at Marvel, you've got to sniff, but unless the doggies can find their way through the zone defense that the Dockers have, and I don't think the Dockers really want to slip up if they want to try to play games in WA, I have a hard time seeing them win that one. So that's 1 and 2 tops out of that 3-game set. It might not be good enough. So I'm going to say overreaction that the doggies are the 8th spot, because if I look at my tip ladder, I'm not going to say who it is. Currently, a team that I have in the 8 is not in the 8 as we speak.
I am so excited to get to these, just to see, because we're going to give you guys our top 12. So we're going to 4 that we're going to miss, and then the 8 that we're going to make with the subsequent seeding there as well. That's going to be a lot of fun. But kept us off for our overreactions of this round, and I was maybe kind of alluding to them a little bit earlier in the show, and this is one that we've kind of talked about this over the last couple rounds, and also Donnie kind of hinted at them during his headlines here, and so that might give away his answer. But statement number 3 is that Collingwood is the biggest sleeper pick to win the grand final.
Oh, this is an overreaction upon overreaction. I don't like They're winning games, okay, legitimately. They're winning games, you can't not. But they are winning games against not the best of opponents in very close games. And like I said, I think that's going to come back to bite them. And I'll tell you this, it'll be very interesting to see where Collingwood ends up, at least in my tip ladder. I think some people are going to be a tiny bit surprised in where Collingwood ends up at the end of the season in my ladder predictor, where they
Collingwood drops out of the top 8. Interesting.
You'll find out. I'm not going to say anything.
Either he's having a really good poker face right now, or I actually kind of got something there. I guess we're going to see. You already know my answer. Any team that has Mason Cox is going to have one of the best abilities to win the grand final. That's what happens when you have the greatest American to ever play in the AFL. You have the greatest American Australian to ever play in the AFL. He is the greatest from one whole hemisphere. In fact, from 3 quadrants of the globe, Mason Cox is the best player to ever be in the AFL, and there is no doubt about that one. Shout out to Big Cox, and my statements are way smaller than than he is. So I'm not even making overreactions at this point. This is not even part of the segment. That's just who the Collingwood Magpies are. And I was telling Dyna, I can't wait till GWS trades away Tim Taranto for both Grundy and Cox next year. It's going to be a great offseason that I am so looking forward to. They're going to get them. They're going to get Clarko. And then, would you know, Toby Green is going to win the Brownlow next year, and they're going to win the grand final. That's just how it is. I'm sorry for spoiling next season to you guys, but I went to the future. I saw exactly what happened, and that's also that's just fact. It's just fact. And I will stop talking on my ass, at least for the next 2 minutes.